The Sand Creek Massacre happened on November 29th, 1864. Approximately 700 volunteer soldiers under the command of Colonel John Shivington, a former minister, attacked a village of 500 Cheyenne Arapaho people. More than 160 Cheyenne and Arapaho were killed and mutilated, mostly women, children, and the elderly. The soldiers took body parts of the many innocent women and children and elderly into downtown Denver as trophies. Ultimately, the massacre was condemned following 3 federal investigations. The run was held in the latter part of July, and approximately 70 runners ran the staff at a day and a half from Sand Creek to Denver.
Tomorrow, all our children that are going to be doing the run, they got a lot to gain out of this too, because like it was mentioned, it's a healing and spiritual run for them. It's something that they're going to carry on, later on in years, and they're going to remember this, because anything that we do, what we're doing today, is all an historical event. That's always taking place every year, and hopefully one day, with all what we're doing, the government will finally, look at, this situation in a favorable way and make things right again. But we still got a long ways to go.
How come I want to run? Just to get more prayers through, like hoping that people up above, heard my prayers mainly.
That's one thing.
Okay, the Sand Creek Run originated back in 1999 when the Northern Cheyenne and the Northern Arapaho and the Southern Cheyenne Arapahos of Oklahoma ran the first annual Sand Creek Run, November 29th, 1999. In 1998, U.S. Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell introduced Senate Bill 1695 that was signed into law in 1998 by President Clinton as Public Law 105-243 that authorized a study to identify the location and the extent of the massacre site area.
Well, what we were looking at was a true site, and we spent many hours, many miles walking. They did some core samples, and they did some scientific photos from the air. And we were able to find, along with the National Park Service, this study was authorized by Congress, headed by Senator Nighthorse Campbell. It took a few years, and it's not complete. It's still ongoing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
In July 2000, Senator Ben Campbell submitted Senate Bill 2950 to establish the Sand Creek National Site as a result of successful site location study. And at that time, the tribes got together, the Northern Cheyenne, the Northern Arapaho, the Cheyenne Arapahos of Oklahoma, the National Park Service, Conservation Fund, the state of Colorado got together and did an extensive study which involved scientific data and oral histories.
When we first got involved with our people with the Sand Creek massacre site, we got together and we thought we'd take our elders with us. And before we even got started, well, we had prayers and ceremonies. And at the time, well, even when we got down there, well, we prayed because it's a site that where our people were at and were massacred, and we were very careful. We just didn't go in there and start digging around or anything like that. We wanted to do it right.
Sand Creek study was very successful. The tribes, again, sat down and as far as consulting procedures, started to decide how the park should be managed under the National Park Service.
At that same time period, we got involved with a spiritual healing run with the Northern Cheyenne, 1999, and a year after the Arapaho tribe did their own spiritual healing run. But in our state here, we brought a lot of attention to our legislators.
The Northern Arapaho people got together on invitation from the Northern Cheyenne. 2 weeks before the run, we called some meetings, and due to the run being held on Thanksgiving Day, a lot of the participants had to rethink and decide if they would make the run. Overall, we took 22 runners, a handful of volunteers, much more overused as chaperones, drivers of pilot cars, and coordinators. The number one myth that we talked about was the safety of all the participants. At that time, it was very cold, and many of the runners were not seasoned for outdoor running, especially running 200 miles in 2 days. The conditions were blowing wind, blowing snow, and cold temperatures. We did coordinate the run activities with the Northern Cheyenne, and it was decided that each tribe would run separate staffs and a 200-mile journey to Denver, Colorado, and it culminated up at the Colorado Historical Society. Later, all of the ceremonies happened at the state capitol. They had an evening vigil, had some speakers, had songs of honor. The next morning, the runners congregated about 4 to 5 miles east of Denver and ran from there to Denver, to the steps of the state capitol. Before the run, the elders of the Cheyenne Arapaho, spiritual leaders, medicine men, blessed the runners. There was a smudge ceremony and final directions and course directions that were given out to the runners, which at that time in the morning Denver is full force with rush hour. We had an opportunity to run down Colfax Street 5 miles into the state capitol, where the ceremony took place, as far as Lieutenant Governor and other dignitaries of the state of Colorado, the National Park Service, all tribal councils from the Cheyenne and Arapaho delegations, and spiritual leaders. The first run kind of paved the way for the other runs that followed. The Arapaho delegation chose to run during the spring or summer months due to the weather change. And moreover, students are out of school by May, and a lot of the students want to participate in the run and get a chance to when there's no school.
My name's Daniel Warren. I live in Arapaho. Reason why I wanted to run is because I wanted to run. And it's a spiritual run. So it comes from inside, nowhere else.
The run takes a lot of patience and time and planning. Most importantly, funds. We've been fortunate with our tribal government to budget enough funds for set amount runners and volunteers that accompany the runners. And how I feel is that it is really good to see some of the elders of the tribe who tag along with the runners get to see the whole run from start to finish, and also participate in prayer and mingle with the runners throughout the 3-4 days of the run. In respect and honor to Vine Deloria, who passed away this past year, he was an advocate for American rights and educator at the collegiate level, promoting excellence in Indian education, as well as writing books to describe tribal governments and describe the way of Indian life, and more or less the advocacy of Indian people in general. He wrote, "Native people remember and memorialize the struggles of their ancestors at Sand Creek, Washita, and Wounded Knee, places now sanctified because of these sacrifices. Every society needs these kind of sacred places because they help instill a sense of social cohesion in the people and remind them of the passage of generations that have brought them to the present. A society that cannot remember and honor its past is in peril of losing its soul." Vine Deloria, Jr. Republican Marilyn Musgrave and Senator Wayne Allard, both of Colorado Republicans, reintroduced legislation on February 2nd, 2005 to preserve the site, and the law signed acquired land in trust for the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma to be used for historical, religious, and cultural purposes. President Bush signed the legislation on August 2nd, 2005, creating the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site Public Law 109-45. I'd like to quote the Northern Cheyenne, Lee Lone Bear. Lee Lone Bear recounts the story of White Antelope chanting his journey song as he died at Sand Creek, and then began to sing those words in Cheyenne. Only rocks live on forever. Then Otto Braided Hair and others followed with a song. They delivered this address this past November 29th, 2005 at the state capitol.
It was a pretty good run, man.
Pretty good.
Hot.
Is it your first time here?
No, I've been on a run since '99. Why I choose to run? Just to run. This is for my grandpa this year, so I came along. I didn't come last year before that, but this is my grandpa this year, so I hopped on.
I am Sam Ironclad.
How come you decided to do the run?
Because my auntie and my mom put it on. Support them. And it's my family. My ancestors.
Wanted to run because a lot of my ancestors that were named Cheyennes, they were down at Sand Creek when it happened, and just something to do.
My name is Northern Wyoming. First year, North Raffle. Katrina, and I'm from ECT. I'm Northern Raffle, and the reason why I wanted to run just to run. I'm Per Scott. I'm Northern Raffle. I'm from ECT. And the only reason why I wanted to run is because it's fun and you get to meet new people. Because my grandparents want me to.
My name is Bobby Wells, and I live in ECT, and I'm Northern Raffle, and I decided to run because I heard it was fun, and this is my first year. My grandma asked me to run.
My name is Tia Crawford. I live in ECT. I'm enrolled Northern Raffle. And I ran because for the sick people and spiritual and people and because I come every year to play.
I was 5 when I was running since 1999 for my grandpa Leo. I've been running since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, I think they're all aware of what they're doing this for. It's for our ancestors and our people. Keep the awareness of the Sand Creek massacre. Well, I've been on this run since 1999, November of 1999, with a group that started down at Arapahoe, and at that time we ran all the way into Denver. And every year it's been a little bit different, and a group got larger, and then it went down a little bit, but this year we have a pretty large group again, and I'm really thankful to see everybody that came out, and it turned out really well. It's been a little bit hot, but otherwise I would say it was a really good run. It turned out very well. My granddaughter, I've been tell her about what's going on, and I tell her that she has to know these things, and she remembers quite a lot more. She talks about it to other kids when they're talking, but otherwise when you're asking them questions, it seems like, where am I?
Myself, when I was a young person, my grandfather would always talk about the Sand Creek massacre, and I never ever gave it a second thought of what happened, who was involved, and the consequences. As in later life, we got involved with the Sand Creek project, and got to know the legislation, got to know the tribes that were involved, and finally the process. And after all the legislative processes, we feel very comfortable that now that we can get down to actual establishment of the park. The National Park Service will manage the historic park and continue to consult on the management, the safety, the development of the park in general. I feel that these runs will continue to memorialize the fallen people at Sand Creek.
Come run next year. Yeah, I'll run next year too.